So there's a picture floating around the interwebs that have gotten a little viral, and I think I need to explain it for some people. Now, I've had a few messages sent to me about it, and so I was like, all right, make a quick video. We'll explain what this picture means because it has something to do with Coach Brent Venables and our target at offensive coordinator. Is this a sign that this is the move forward? I'm going to tell you no, and I'll explain exactly why right now. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. This video is powered by our partners over at BetUS. Check them out. They're hooking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150. So we're not going to take too long, but I do want to tell you a reason why and why not, because the offensive coordinator hire has started to pick up steam, and everybody's asking questions. I've gotten pinged numerous times, Jay, who do you like at offensive coordinator? Who do you think we hire? This, that, and the other. And I know a lot of the insiders have already begun making their selections and predictions, and I've had a few sent to me. So, but this picture that floated around, let me pull it up and let me explain what I'm talking about here. So when you look at this picture here, this is Dan Mullen with Barry Switzer as well as Brent Venables. So you've got the big three names right there. And Dan Mullen is someone that's been on the consideration list for offensive coordinator. If you don't know much about Dan Mullen, he was the head coach at Florida before Billy Napier got the job. He was also coach at Mississippi State. He was offensive coordinator at Florida. So he's got, 13 plus years of experience in the SEC between Florida and Mississippi State and just being around. So Mullen has a lot of experience. But to me, there is a distinction of why you would pick Dan Mullen and why not, and also some of the other ones, because I'm going to be honest, it feels like because the season is about to wrap up, by the end of the LSU game, I sense we will have somebody hired. To me, if you're going to hire Dan Mullen, I sense it's going to happen within probably before Bama. That has always been my take. He's on television now, unless he decides that he wants to finish up television obligations. They usually take jobs early. So let's dive into why I think Dan Mullins would be a good pick and why I think that he would not be a good pick. Because I'm not going to lie to you. There are some negatives here that have concerned me even in conversation. And if you've watched Locked On Sooners, me and John kind of talked a little bit on it. But over the last few days, I really took some thought. Let's talk about that. But first, shout out to our partners over there at BetUS. They are hooking up the gamer, 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Then they're giving you 125% on your second and third deposits by using promo code YouTube150. So if you want to get into the game of, seeing what kind of luck you got, Oklahoma right now is sitting at a 14-point dog against Alabama at the crib on senior night. Think Oklahoma can do it? Something to jump on. If you think that Bama's got it, the total is at 47, which I think that's probably the more fascinating number. Will that game go over 47 or not? I'm leaning under. So that's probably the direction I go. And if you want to jump in there, you can. They're hooking you up. 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your second and third deposits up to $2,000 by using our promo code YouTube150, BetUS, where the game begins. And so with Dan Mullen, it comes with a couple of goods and bads. So why he would be a good choice. Mullen knows the SEC. As you all know, I mentioned how many years of experience he has. And he's done a really good job with quarterbacks. I mean, he has a nice little list of quarterbacks, just recently. The most recent is 2020 area. You had Kyle Trask, in which we saw him in the bowl game. So you had him there at Florida. And then you go back from Kyle Trask into the years he had he had Tebow when he was an OC. He made Dak Prescott, who he was in Mississippi State. Look, Mississippi State went to the Orange Bowl with Dan Mullen as head coach there. That's why he ended up at Florida. In his first 2 years of Florida, he won 10 games, 11 games. So it wasn't bad. Year 3 was kind of mediocre. And that basically got him fired. So everyone's like, all right, what's going on with this? What's up with Dan Mullen? Well, is he any good as a coach. And I'm going to be honest, I think he is. And now that picture that was floating around that y'all saw, that picture was from last year, 2023. He came for a coach's clinic. And because he showed up for the coach's clinic, that is basically why he took a picture with Brent Venables and Barry Switzer. He has a relationship there. So it makes sense that he would be in this picture. And now that picture's floating around. Dean Blevins decided to point out that, this is an older picture. Some of y'all caught that. A lot of people didn't. Like I said, I've got people that sent this to me. Like, hey, man, Jay, what's up with this? That's kind of where you would get the why you would get Dan Mullen, because he has a relationship already with Brent Venables. He came out for a coach's clinic and was talking about plays and stuff, which was cool. I actually remember seeing people speculating about him getting the job back in 23 after that season, last season, because he came to the clinic. And like, oh, man, get Dan Mullen on as an analyst. You could bring him back up, blah, blah, blah. So now think about this here, though. When you've got a guy like Dan Mullen, why would Dan Mullen, a former head coach at multiple spots, 3 years out the game, take an assistant coaching job? Why would he do that? That's a very good question, my friends, and I'm glad that you asked that. The reason why you would potentially get him to come and do that is because he wants to get back into head coaching. If he wants to get back into head coaching, he's been out 3 years, meaning that he was right there at the end of the transfer portal era / heavy NIL. As that game has evolved, he's been out the last 3 years. So a head coaching job will probably consider him, but their question is going to be, hey, what's your plans here for that? Plus, rumor has it when he was there at Florida, people felt like he kind of mailed it in when it came to recruiting. You kind of got to prove yourself to some of these jobs that you are on the saddle for recruiting, because recruiting has gotten harder since he last was a head coach. That is, to me, your question for Dan Mullen as far as a head coach goes, if he wants to do that. Now, you bring him as an OC, I don't think you have a problem there. I think it's just fine in that capacity. But as OC, as a head coach, you're going to have questions about if he's prepared to do the dirty work of, recruiting, transfer portal, and all that stuff, because you got to do both now. Now, that's where you lead into that negative stuff is he's been gone 3 years. He hasn't been around for NIL. And if he really wants a head coaching job, there's a very good chance he comes here. He ain't here longer than like a year. Now, I'll say this. I don't expect any OC to come here and be here longer than 2. If you're good, if you're worth a darn, you're probably going to get a head coaching job offer within the first 2 years. And it ain't going to be a G5 offer. It's going to be a good one if you come in and turn things around in Oklahoma. If you don't turn things around in Oklahoma, of course, you're going to be losing your job just like Brent Venables. But I don't see that with Mullen. I see if Mullen comes in, they will set him up to where all he got to do is coach and let the elite recruiters around do the recruiting thing. I can see that happening. And to be honest, I kind of would like that. I don't mind him doing that. And honestly, I don't see him here longer than a year. That doesn't bother me. My question is, who do you have in the rain? Who do you have in the chamber in preparation to take over the OC job? That is where I have questions, because to me, you're going to want to make sure that you're either coaching up the guys you have on staff to take it, or you have somebody that you're hiring in that's going to be the heir apparent for offensive coordinator. I would like to see Emmett Jones get prepped for that and give him a shot. We'll see. But just understand that there's a very good chance that whoever comes in at OC, they're here 2 years, at the longest 3, and they're going to get a head coaching job if they do the job right. So let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. How y'all feel about this search? Because, man, it's been wild. There's other names that's been out there. I've seen on y'all's list on social media. There's Arbuckle. Ben Arbuckle, OC at Washington State. I think I saw an article from Pete Nakos over there at On3. I've actually seen a few articles talking about the OC search from Ben Arbuckle to Joe Craddock down there at Tulane. I've heard about the guys at Texas State. I mean, sure, I know a lot of people want Will Stein over there in Oregon, but he ain't coming here. Don't even think it. I don't care what you offer him. Most likely, Oregon's going to match it, or they're going to say as soon as Dan Lanning takes an NFL job, which is expected in some time, you got that job. Why leave it? So I don't sense that happens. If Lanning wins a national championship, though, I could totally see him going to the NFL. And then in that case, guess what? Will Stein has the job. So it's probably what's going to happen. So don't get your hopes up there. There's a few others out there that I feel like are far-fetched, but it's going to be fun. So if I'm going to keep my eyes open, I'm hoping something rolls down in the next couple weeks, right? I actually hope this is done by LSU. That's my anticipation. LSU is it because the transfer portal starts at Sunday or Sunday. It starts December 1st. You have National Signing Day on that Wednesday. Black Monday is the 2nd, which is December 2nd. That's usually when people lose their jobs that aren't, that are bowl eligible or not. The people lose their jobs are going to take others. And since there's not very many head coaching jobs open right now, I don't sense that a lot of the jobs that we thought were going to be open this year opened up. Next year, different story. So we'll see what that looks like. We'll have some more videos coming down the line. We'll talk about what Brent Venables says in his presser. He'll have tonight as well as tomorrow. This video is powered by our partners over at BetUS. Check them out. They're hooking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150 on the Coach's Show. And let's prep for Alabama. Another night game. We'll talk soon.